Hello. I'd like to introduce you to Alec Gillett here. He is a health and human performance specialist here at Optimal Physical Therapy. So he's our specialist in things like strength and conditioning coaching. And he's here today to tell you a little bit more about Heart Health Month and some basic tips on how you can help prevent heart disease and how you can help manage it if you're already starting to have some signs of it. So, Alec, thanks for meeting with us today.
Thank you.
So, the reason why we have Alec here today to talk to you about heart health is because February is Heart Health Awareness Month. So, we want to be able to bring you some information and help raise awareness of this very important topic. So, why is heart health so important, Alec?
Heart health is important because it's something that we could easily prevent by doing a couple of things, just like eating right, nutrition-wise, and exercising. And we'll briefly talk about that here in a bit, I think.
And Alec, how common is heart disease?
Heart disease is 1 in 3 Americans are affected by heart disease. So that's typically somebody that's close to you or somebody that you know is affected with heart disease.
It's a lot of people.
All right.
So Alec, what are you seeing as the main causes of heart disease?
So some main causes of heart disease are smoking, poor diet, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and being sedentary or inactive.
And Alec, as an expert in this area, what are you finding as the recommendations for what people should be doing in terms of activity in order to prevent heart disease and also to look after their health long term?
Yeah, a general rule of thumb is individuals or adults having 150 minutes of exercise per week. So if we break that down, that's 30 minutes per day in a sense.
That's not very much.
No.
Right?
Not much at all. And we could even break that down even more we could do 2 sessions of 15 minutes or 3 sessions of 10 minutes of exercise. And then we also want to include at least 2 times per week we get muscle activity, so muscular strength in there.
Okay. And Alec, you mentioned muscle strength is important in this heart health. Why is that so important?
Because walking, moving, picking up items off the ground or your shelf or the fridge is always important for us to keep that active. And also, we don't want to lose our muscle mass in long term. So incorporating that muscle activity is very important.
What does muscle mass really mean in regards to the heart?
Being able to properly function and have the heart beat.
Okay, so Alec, we all have these fitness trackers, and some of us don't even know why we have them, right? and it tells me I have 5,800 steps today. But ultimately, does it really count if I just get up and take a few steps and then sit back down again, or do I really have to sustain that activity for an extended period of time for it to count?
I think the best rule of thumb is that sustained activity is going to be more beneficial for you in long term to keep that heart rate elevated, to prevent heart disease.
Okay, so I have to intentionally get moving and sustain that for maybe 10 minutes, and that's really going to have the effect. It's not just me going to get a cookie from the cookie jar in the
Correct.
kitchen and going and sitting back at my desk again.
Yes.
Okay. So we're shooting for a minimum of 10 minutes, 15 minutes of sustained activity. Give me some ideas on what you mean by activities that might be ideal for working on our heart health.
Right. A couple activities you could do is brisk walking, so not your casual leisure walking, say, to the fridge to grab a snack. So you want to get active, get that heart rate elevated. blood pumping. You could do biking, you could do jump roping or disc golfing or anything of the sorts that gets that heart rate elevated.
Okay. So, Alec, as a physical therapist, we see a lot of people that just can't do jumping jacks or jump rope or bike riding, and it's maybe not safe.
Right.
So for those people that really can't get out or can't do impact, what kind of things can they do to really achieve this target goal of 150 minutes of increased heart rate and exercise throughout the week?
Right, and we have some at-home exercises that we could modify for the individuals that could help achieve those goals.
Let's go ahead and review some of those, because I know a lot of people are probably having some questions on what really could I be doing other than walking to get my cookie from the cookie jar, right?
Yes, we could do that.
So, Alec, we talked about how we might need to have some ideas on what people can really start with at home to help increase their heart rate and get more active. So can you give me some examples at that very, very low level where we're feeling unsafe with doing a lot of balancing or aerobic exercises? And then let's see how we can modify that for everybody at home to be able to progress that. Okay?
Yeah. So a good first starting one would be marching in place at your kitchen counter. So we'll use this or modify the table as a kitchen counter.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do, we're gonna try to bring our knees up to our chest as high as we can.
Okay.
And if we have to, we could turn if the table or kitchen counter is in the way. So this is a little more
So I went from two hands to one hand.
one hand when you feel a little safer.
Okay.
And then if you feel safe with that and confident with that, we could go hands off the kitchen table and we could do marching in place.
Feeling good.
And if that's becoming a little too easy, we could incorporate our arms with it. So opposite arm, opposite leg, really engage our core and our balance.
That's a really good balance exercise right there. Anything else I can do with that marching?
I don't know off the top.
And Alec, are we concerned about any way that we do this, like our posture or our body mechanics when we're doing this? Any tips on that?
Yes, so form is obviously a big playing factor into making sure that we're hitting what we're supposed to, muscle parts and everything correctly. So if we go back to our kitchen counter and we do our marching, we don't want to be down here trying to march because that's going to put strain on our lower back.
Okay.
We want to engage that core, keep our chest nice and tall.
Okay.
And we want to bring our knees to our chest.
Okay.
And if we have to for this one, we could always turn.
Yeah, because that counter keeps getting in the way, doesn't it?
So even with that single hand, we have a little more range of motion. But with this, we still want to keep our core nice and tight, our chest nice and tall, and be safe.
So I don't want to be doing
Correct.
that kind of thing, or this kind of thing, right? So what are some other maybe upper body things that we could be doing?
Yeah. So coming back to our kitchen counter,
Okay.
we could do a push-up, a modified push-up.
Okay.
So the level of difficulty that we want to do is all based on how close or how far away we want to stand to our kitchen counter. So the closer we are, the easier this will be. The further we step away from our kitchen sink or kitchen counter, the more difficult this will be. And we really want to focus on engaging our core, keeping our core tight. We don't want to bend at the hips and try to do this. We want to keep our back nice and flat.
Okay.
And keep our elbows tucked in close to our sides.
And I can go back a little, see if I can do it. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a pretty good workout.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then some more modifications if we want to feel better, or we could get to do some burpees with this.
Okay.
So we do our push-up to start out. So we go down and we do our push-up.
Okay.
And we could jump forwards, or we could take our step forwards.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is we could jump back or take our step back, come down and do our push-up again. Take our step or jump forwards.
Okay.
And we just repeat.
Okay, so another challenge would be the jump jump, push up, push up.
Yes.
Did I sequence that okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what are some other leg strengthening anaerobic type of things that I can be
Yeah,
doing?
another good one would be squats. So if we
Okay.
come back to our kitchen counter,
Okay,
we could have our hands for our support
Okay.
so we don't lose our balance. We want to keep our feet about shoulder width apart.
okay,
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna act like we have something behind us and we're gonna sit down and lead with our butt.
okay,
And then we're gonna come up. And all depending how much support we need with our hands, we could utilize our hands
Okay.
to come up with this
like I
one.
can help.
Push yourself
Okay.
up, yes. And for this one also, it's beneficial to keep our back nice and straight, engage that core. We don't wanna squat and try to squat with a
Right,
round
like I
back.
want to keep looking out the window
Yes.
there. Okay. Is my chest nice and tall?
Yes.
Okay.
And then to advance that, we can step away from our
Okay.
kitchen counter and we could go single hand
Okay.
or we could go no hand, all depending on our level of confidence.
Okay. So if I still need a handhold, I can have it there, but I'm just not using it to help me as much.
Yes, correct.
And then if I'm getting even better, I can step away completely. Maybe I could have something behind me to.
For a sit to
Ooh!
stand.
Oops. And then I didn't fall, right? So
Right.
I could just go through that motion of going all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, you're getting my heart rate up. Whew.
That's the whole point.
So, Alec, you mentioned healthy eating is important part of this heart health.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, what does healthy eating mean?
Healthy eating is trying to reduce the amount of unhealthy fats, saturated fats that you have in your diet. Going out and having fast food often or multiple times during the week. So those home cooked meals are more beneficial for you. Another great way to see what a portion is of what you should be eating, you could go to myplate.gov to look at some of that information too.
Okay, so kind of telling me how big of portions I should have of each food group.
Right,
And
yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have a huge plate of pasta,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to have maybe a huge plate of vegetables.
Right.
With an appropriate amount of meat and an appropriate amount of starch.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. That's a good idea. Thank you. So, Alec, I know we should have at least some sort of elevated heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
What are the recommendations on like how high my heart rate should be when I do exercise?
Right. So an easy way to calculate that is that you're going to take 220 minus your age and then multiply that by a percentage. And we're looking between about 50 to 65, 75% to get that heart rate elevated.
Okay. So if I was 29 years old
Mm-hmm.
again, what would be my max heart rate then? That's 220 minus 29.
Right.
And so 191 is my
Mhm.
maximum heart rate, and my target is somewhere where?
Between 65% and 75%. So you take
Okay.
191, multiply that by 0.65
Okay.
to get your minimum threshold, and then you take that same number of 191, multiply it by 0.75 to get your max threshold of your heart rate.
And then how do I check my own heart rate?
You could do that by doing this one, super easy, right on your throat. Right.
Okay. Your carotid
Carotid
artery.
artery.
Right there? Oh yeah, I do feel that pulsing
Yeah.
in there.
And you could track that. You could do that for 10 seconds,
Okay.
15 seconds, and you multiply
So-
that.
So I need my seconds on my watch.
Your handy dandy smartwatch.
I'm counting the number of beats in 10 seconds and then multiplying that times 6.
6
Okay.
to equal that target heart rate that you
All right.
should get in.
I'm close.
Well, that's
From
good.
all that work you made me do.
And also, if you have a smartwatch, that's another excellent source that you could look at too, since they have built-in pulse ox.
Yep.
Or you could potentially buy a pulse ox that goes onto your finger.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that leisurely doing an activity like, say, going out and walking your dog is a great way to increase their heart rate and get those steps in. Getting the steps in is great, but just leisurely walking the dog doesn't really help benefit with preventing heart disease. So what you would want to do is interact, play fetch, chase the dog, do things of that nature to help increase that heart rate for at least 10 minutes at a time. Elevate that heart rate and get that blood pumping. For more information about heart health, take a look at our blog on our website.